and welcome back to my channel and part 2 of my introduction to the Fernwood Fitness 12-week challenge. Oh, what a crazy week it's been. So I just want to recap where we left off from last time, and I was telling you that I signed up for the challenge, came home and freaked out. I guess the reasons for that were many, most of all the fact that I had high anxiety and depression, and they basically rob you of all your self-worth, all your self-confidence, and I literally didn't think that I was good enough to do something as extreme as a 12-week challenge. And I say extreme now and it seems kind of silly, but at the time it just seemed like, you know, you had to be super fit and super flexible and super strong to be able to do something like that. And now I have the opportunity to go out and talk to other women, and quite often they'll share with me and say, Louise, I couldn't do what you did. I couldn't go out there and, you know, win the national title. You know, I'm not brave enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not fit enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not financially stable enough, I'm not enough. And I guess for me, anybody that thinks that in some way, shape or form that they're not good enough are exactly the sort of people that should be doing this. So that was me. I sat down, came home, freaked out, had a panic attack. And when I say panic attack, it was quite extreme. It was like 4 hours, full on. And then my son came home later and he was like, Mum, seriously, you'll be okay. Just go out there and do what you're always telling me to do. Just go out there and do your best. And that for me was probably the strongest, most powerful statement, because all throughout the challenge I just reminded myself of that. You know, it's not about going out there and giving 100%, it's going out there and just doing the best that you can that day. So he was right, let's face it. Kids. So I had to come up with some strategies and change my way of thinking to be able to get my head around this and actually take part. And this is what I want to impart with you today, is just kind of like, even though we don't follow the same path and we all have our own issues and our own problems and our own challenges, like if I can kind of give you some hints and tips that might just help one person, then hopefully it's worth it. So the first thing is, don't look at it as a 12-week challenge. Look at it as an investment into yourself. And as women, we tend to be really, really crap at doing this. And I think that's because we put everybody else before ourselves. We put our partners and our kids and our pets and our jobs and our cooking and our cleaning and everything. And if there's any energy left at the end of the day, it's a bloody miracle. So that's the first thing. Look at it as an investment. With that comes the part where you have to then be a little bit selfish. And this is a big challenge. Like, how do you put yourself first when you're not used to putting yourself first? My advice is tell everybody that you're doing it. Tell your employer, tell your workmates, tell your kids, tell your partner, tell your friends, tell absolutely everybody, and share with them the reasons why you're doing it. And this brings me to point number 2. Know what your goals are. We all have goals, dreams, aspirations, but get a big piece of paper, write them down, confirm them in your head, and pin those bad boys everywhere. Put them on the fridge, put them like next to your bed, like put them on your desk at work, and just constantly remind yourself when you are tired and you are sore, when you're thinking, why the hell am I doing this? It's there in black and white. And if you share those goals with those, like, I'm going to call them your support team, then they'll know what you're aiming for and they'll see the value in it as well. Now, I was quite fortunate because during the challenge, my partner turned around to me and he was like, what can I do to help? What can I do to support you? And I said, you can cook all my meals. I've got to say, it was like a deer in headlights. It was like, because he's not normally the person that cooks the meals in our house. I love him to bits, but he's not a very confident cook. So to say, go out there and cook all my meals for 12 weeks was a big ask. But I've got to say, he did absolutely brilliantly. And by the end of the 3 months, he had a newfound appreciation for everything that I did in the kitchen. And he also learnt some amazing skills along the way. I mean, he's super thin and super tall and super fit. So, you know, that's not about what he needs to learn about his food and education. But he did amazingly well, and you know, I couldn't really have been as successful without that support. My employer was the same. You know, he was a great guy who was like, you know, saw you heading towards a vending machine, would physically steer you in the opposite direction. So you've got your goals set, you've got your selfish head on, and you're putting yourself first for a change, and you've got your support team. The next thing is to kind of break down how you're going to do it, and this takes a little bit of planning. I set myself up 4 strategies, and if you've ever seen one of my previous videos where I presented at the Fernwood Fitness annual conference, I kind of go through all those, so I'm not going to recap on them again. But come up with some strategies that are going to work for you. Plan out what you think you can do, and planning is key. So before you start the challenge, and depending on how you're doing this and what level you're doing it at, you kind of need to look at the main timetable for your classes. Like, what classes can you do physically? In terms of time, what can you do them? What works for you? If you're doing functional fit, book it in. If you've got a PT, when are you doing that, and who are you doing it with? And picking your PT is a really crucial part. Last year my PT was Rachel. Again, she'll be my PT this year, so I'm super excited about that. And then booking your food coaching, booking everything that you need to do, boot camps, what time are they on? We have one on Saturday for an hour, and we have one midweek on a Wednesday, because I'm a member of the green team. We're frogs. And then write everything down, create a diary, and I literally take a photo of that and I put it in my phone. I've always got my phone on me, so if I'm not able to access like a little schedule I've got, I just look at my phone and I know exactly what I'm doing for the day. The next thing is your diary, and you should by now, if not very shortly, get your tools for success. Woo! This is your little pack that you get when you sign up for the challenge with Fernwood, and inside it I'll go through. You do get a very cute set of measuring spoons, so they come in really handy for your cooking, and also a zucchini slicer. They actually had one of these in last year's pack, and I found it so helpful. It's really handy. You also get some really cool scales. Now, I've used these and they're really easy to use and super accurate. So love these. Chocolate protein bar. Who can say no to free chocolate? Not me. Shouldn't say that. The next thing you get is your card. Mine looks like it's personalised because it got me on it, but you get your card, and this is what you will be filling out throughout the challenge. So it's got all your sections in there for your points, and I'll go through that in a little bit more detail. You also get your diary, and I'm just going to put this down. Your diary is really essential, and some people look at this as a complete pain in the butt to fill out because it is quite intensive. But just try and do it daily, or at least weekly, and it's really important. Not just because if you get through to the final and you win for your club that this will get sent off, but also if you diarise your food and your eating habits and things like that, you'll actually become a lot more successful. And I think the statistics are like people that keep a food diary are 30% more successful than those that don't. This is my own diary from last year, and as you can see, it's got my card in there. You've got your measurements at the start and all the way through. You've got your before, you've got your before and after photos in your book, and then you go through and you fill out the different sections of what you're doing at that time. And it's quite intensive, like there's a lot to it. but it's really good to look back on, especially the sections that ask you about how you're feeling at that time. And for me, that was massive. Like, you know, who I was at the start was definitely not the person I was by the end. And I think that that is a great experience to kind of read back through and go, wow, I can't believe that I was that negative and I was that toxic. Groundbreaking. So I want to go back to your card. So like I say, this was mine for last year, and just dropped it. So this is mine for last year, and this is this year. And what you do is every time you have an activity, you have to write it down, and you get different points for different activities. So if you are in it to win it, definitely check out what classes are going to give you the most points. You know, maybe book an extra PT or something like that. But this is mine. I don't know if you can see that, from last year, and literally pretty much every section is filled out apart from when we were closed on public holidays. So hopefully that gives you some indication of my level of commitment last year, or how bonkers I was. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's really good to be able to fill that out and see the activity that you're doing. And this normally stays behind reception and they check it off for you, so you can't just make it up as you go and just fill it out. They do need to sign off that you actually perform that class or that activity. You also get points for your food coaching, and you also get points for like things like games night, food night, and different activities that you might do. The one thing that I do want to point out with this is that if you do your own activities, say like you go for a run or you go and do some like cardio by yourself, you can still fill this out on this book, but you can only do one of those per day. So you can't go in the morning, go for a run, come back in the evening, and then go and do like, you know, a bit of HIIT training by yourself, and it won't actually count. Ooh, that's my dog, she's so cute. So yeah, that covers off the actual book itself. So far we've covered goals, being selfish, and, you know, asking your support team for their help. We've also covered off you know, what you need for the challenge in terms of planning, and I think that's pretty much going to cover it off. However, if you have any questions, please feel free to message me. My details are below. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, like everything, I think. Not bad for a shy person. So yeah, please message me, and if you have a Garmin, then please feel free to add me on Garmin as well, because I love a step challenge, and also you can see my activities as we go along. So like, subscribe, and I will be back with my next video, which I think will be my road trip to Rabina on my birthday, and then from that we're going to do setting up and measuring and like recording where you are at the start before the challenge starts. So we've got a week or so left to go, and hopefully you're all being prepared and you're killing it.